Fudou is a delinquent boy who was transferred to an all-girls academy to be disciplined for sending students to hospitals, but instead of learning his lessons, he goes against all their rules, rizzes up all of the baddies there and starts clapping them hard. At the start, Fudou arrives at the academy on his first day and realizes how every girl on campus has a weapon. While every male student looks like ugly chicks, out of nowhere, a fat, chopped-looking dude named Masuko shows up to greet Fudou. Seeing the confusion, Masuko explains that every guy at this school has to wear makeup as it's part of the rules, but Fudou couldn't care less and declares that he will live life as he likes. Meanwhile, the top girls running the academy, known as the Supreme Five Swords, gather for an urgent meeting. Their leader, Ren, brings up a serious concern about the new student, Fudou, who once hospitalized 40 students at his old school. Just then, another girl named Amu walks in and casually mentions that she fought Fudou before, and she warns them to be careful of his move, the spirit bullet. Later, Fudou walks into class, and right away, Ren and her crew confront him, ready to strike. They explain that since their school turned from an all-girls school into a co-ed, the girls have been armed to protect themselves from guys who might get too freaky. Then Ren has until the bell rings to put him in his place, but Fudou has no intention of following any rules. Suddenly, Fudou teleports beneath a girl's skirt, horrifying her, then bolts to the window for his escape. Ren immediately chases after him, determined to bring him down before the bell rings. Fudou taunts her the entire way, mocking her authority. As the fight continues, Fudou dodges Ren's sword strikes with his legs, which impresses her. However, she activates her mirrored breathing technique and moves even faster, forcing Fudou to up his game. Then she activates the dragon's tail and the chest strike, which manages to cut his shirt open. Fudou tries to counter, but Ren uses her crane stance and manages to cut his cheek open, drawing first blood. While he's surprised by how sharp she is, he calmly pulls out a pair of gloves from his pocket. With them on, he begins deflecting her attacks, but she still manages to drive him back into a tree. And then, while all the other Supreme Swords watch closely, Fudou slips under her guard and manages to land a touch on her side. Ren still thinks she's in control, but Fudou tells her that while she's got a sword, he's got a gun. Without warning, he powers up and unleashes a powerful strike straight into her, launching her across the yard. The girls are stunned and Ren tries to crawl back for her sword, but Fudou pins her down and tells her to yield. She glares up at him and mentions the spirit bullet. Fudou immediately gets serious and demands to know who told her about that move. Just then, Nono smacks him on the head, knocking him forward and straight into Ren's face. They kiss and her mask shatters from the impact. Fudou quickly backs off and starts blaming Nono for what just happened while Nono throws the blame back at him, but Ren stands up sword in hand, her face red from being both angry and flustered, trying not to cry. She promises Fudou that she's going to slice his Slim Jim into cocktail sausages. Later that night, Nono is about to finish her bath when Mary walks in to confront her. Mary wants to talk about what happened with Ren and says she plans to be the next one to discipline Fudou. Right then, a short girl named Choka storms in and claims she's the only one who can handle Fudou. That kicks off an argument between her and Nono, since Nono also wants to take revenge for Ren. Meanwhile, Fudou is soaking in the boy's bath, looking at a nasty bruise he got from crashing into a tree. Masuko's there too, asking Fudou how he managed to take down the leader of the Supreme Swords before the first class even ended. In the bath, Fudou explains how he spent his entire childhood mastering the move that beat Ren, the spirit bullet. Then he asks Masuko how to get a permit to leave the school grounds. Masuko says he'll need Ren's stamp, which Fudou knows is unlikely, but that's not all, as he also needs approval from the rest of the Supreme Swords. Suddenly, Fudou gets a headache. So Masuko offers him aspirin and shows him how to use the school's student menu to order supplies. Fudou looks at the list and tells him that he knows that the boys need something a bit more extra, like a Mia Khalifa film. And Masuko admits there's a smuggler who can get better stuff, but it'll cost him extra. After hearing that, Fudou requests a cake. The next day, Fudou tries to win over the girls in class with cake, but they all scatter, not wanting to be anywhere near him. He asks a student where Ren is, but she insults him for showing his face at all, and tells a classmate named Miji to roast him. Miji tells him Ren's out sick, probably from catching something through their accidental kiss. Fudou walks away and finds Masuko to ask if the girls eat lunch in their dorms. Masuko says that wouldn't make sense since the dorms are far from the cafeteria. But then he realizes what Fudou's thinking and tries to stop him from meeting Ren. Meanwhile, Ren is having a dream of her dark past. And at that moment, Ren wakes up feeling groggy and blames Fudou for making her sick. While tossing around in bed, she's shocked to realize that she actually craves another kiss and starts freaking out. She senses someone coming and quickly puts on her damaged mask. And just then, Fudou climbs through her window. She grabs her sword to swing at him, but he grabs the blade and asks why she's pushing herself so hard while sick, and she gets flustered. Fudou compliments her room and gives her a box of cakes. Then, after getting a close look, he tells her she's actually really cute. She gets flustered and he asks why she won't just take the mask off completely. She says she can't, as without it, she wouldn't be able to face people. When he finally asks for the permit, Ren tells him to forget it as only students who represent the school well get one. And after what Fudou did, he doesn't qualify. He asks if students wear their uniforms when they're off campus, and Ren misinterprets it, accusing him of wanting to see her in normal clothes. Fudou plays along and says that he does, which leads her to give him the permit anyway, pretending it's just repayment for the cake. He jokes about giving her another kiss as thanks, but the fever scrambles her brain and she stumbles into him, nearly showing him what her mom made just then. Nono arrives with food, but when she sees Fudou over Ren, she loses it and activates all the traps hidden in the dorm room, forcing Fudou to bolt out for his life outside. Choka hears the sirens and sees him running. She pulls out a whip and apologizes to Nono in advance, saying she'll be the one to take Fudou down first. She stops him and introduces herself as Mary's little sister and the head of the Junior 5 Swords. Nono soon catches up and explains that Choka just made up her entire cringe-sounding backstory and really just wants to be in charge when Nono is the real leader of the Junior 5 Swords. Choka doesn't care and attacks, but Nono joins in, which interrupts Choka, and it buys Fudou time to slip on his gloves. The two girls agree to team up and take him down. Soon, students across the school crowd around windows to watch. Nono goes in first and pushes Fudou back with a strong combo, and Fudou realizes she's using the same moves as Ren. Choka then reintroduces herself dramatically and cuts his arm with her whip, which annoys Fudou as she readies another strike. The two explain that what Fudou is about to face is a level 2 correction, which means getting punished by two girls at once, something only the Empress has survived. Fudou dodges Choka's attacks, then blocks Nono's follow-up. When they try to combine their efforts, he cleverly grabs Choka's whip and uses it against them, joking that they need to work on their teamwork. Then he unleashes the spirit bullet, blasting Nono straight into Choka. The blast leaves Nono struggling to move and on top of Choka. Then, as Fudou moves in to finish the fight, Nono flashes back to Ren's kiss with him and suddenly starts crying. Oka tries to comfort her, but then joins her crying, and the entire school turns on Fudou, calling him a complete, utter degenerate, and he runs back in defeat. Later, Ren meets up with him outside school and quietly hands him the pass now signed with her stamp. Fudou thanks her and walks off, but just then, Nono and Choka rush over to snitch to Ren about everything that just happened, and she gets so mad she passes out on the spot. That night, Choka is still traumatized, and Mary thinks about how to deal with Fudou while taking a bath, refusing to let Fudou disrespect her precious Choka. Yeah, you degenerate losers in the comments who aren't subscribing yet, keep simping while Fudou claps these Academy baddies and leaves you with nothing but tissues. And the next day, Fudou gets to class and sees Ren waiting for him. But this time, everyone else, including Masuko, stays far away, scared and grossed out. Ren draws her sword again and tells him she's making herself his personal supervisor in order to protect everyone from his pickle of doom. A few hours later, Choka storms into the showers, barging in on fellow students bathing to find Mary. And then she finds Mary down in the cafeteria. Mary, in the middle of dinner, tells her not to stress as she's already made up her mind to discipline Fudou for what he did. But Choka fills her in on what really happened. And at the same time, Nono has just finished explaining the whole thing to Ren, but Ren's still planning to make a move against Fudou herself. Meanwhile, Fudou's chilling out with Masuko while he tries to warn Fudou about the danger he's in. He tells him that Mary and Ren are both seriously ticked off, and Masuko explains just how far they might go for revenge. Fudou asks him if it's true that someone once survived a level 2 correction from both of them. Masuko nods and starts telling the story of how the Empress used nothing but her bare hands to tear open Ren's defenses, and how Mary got her sword snapped like a twig and was completely outmatched. Hearing this, Fudou suddenly realizes that the Empress sounds a lot like the same psycho who nearly tore him apart before, but when Masuko informs him that the Empress is a nickname for a girl, he starts to think that maybe he's confused her with someone else. And the next morning, Ren wakes him up. And as soon as he's out of bed, she hits him with a question about whether he's been acting freaky to more girls. But he quickly tries to explain what really went down with Nono and Choka. She tells him not to bother as she already knows. Still, she pulls out her sword and says she'll be watching him closely now, checking his bag to make sure he's not hiding anything shady. While Ren lays out the rules of their new arrangement, Mary and Choka show up. Mary paints Fudou as a woman diddler who doesn't deserve freedom, but Ren insists it was all a big misunderstanding. She says she'll take full responsibility and keep him in line, but that only makes Mary angrier. So angry, she starts yapping in French. Choka has to remind her to speak normally again, and. Even then, Mary fumbles and ends up using a language book to accuse Ren of falling for Fudou just because of the kiss. Ren tells Fudou to leave so she and Mary can talk privately, but Mary orders Choka to follow him. She tells her to make sure he's warmed up before Mary slices and dices him later. The moment Choka catches up to Fudou, they start fighting. She pulls out a new whip technique, hoping he won't be able to dodge it. Fudou uses his belt to block it and tries to explain how powerful he is, but then Choka suddenly freezes and collapses, and he realizes with horror that his Slim Jim has been out the whole time.
No.
As he scrambles to get dressed, he spots a familiar face from his past, Amu. Meanwhile, back with Ren and Mary, Ren's out of breath. Mary tells her to stop being pathetic and storms off to go hunt down Fudou. Back with Fudou, he tries to get a good look at Amu, whom he remembers as a boy, and how he once offered to make him her servant after nearly taking his life. He calls out to her, but she stops him, saying she needs time to recover before they can fight again. He asks if she's the same person who nearly ended him and how she turned into a woman, but she rolls her eyes and says she's always been one. Before he can say anything else, Mary arrives completely panicking at the sight of Fudou's dingling. But she gets distracted by the sound of Choka still going wild somewhere nearby and runs off to check on her. Amu, meanwhile, heads to the auditorium where she sits in front of a Buddha statue and reflects on her last fight with Fudou. She remembers how fast his punches were, how he even managed to hit her first before she brought him down. When he kept fighting, she knocked him out and offered to spare him if he pledged himself to her, but he refused. As she thinks about how she hesitated in their most recent encounter, her heart starts pounding and she smashes the statue, refusing to admit her feelings for him. Meanwhile, Fudou and Mary are in the middle of a fight. He dodges most of her moves, but she finally cuts through his gloves. Fudou struggles as Mary slices into him again and again, easily finding weak points. Eventually, she tells him he's got nothing left as she has cut away everything that made him strong. Fudou decides to take a chance and rushes her. She sees it coming and stabs him again, but he blocks it with his gooning magazine. While she jumps back to regroup, he gets in close and uses the magazine to knock her out cold, and then he activates his magic bullet and blasts her away. Humiliated and defeated, Mary begs him to finish her, but he ignores her and complains about his ruined magazine. She starts acting sus, asking if he's going to treat her the same creamy way he did Ren, and when he says that he won't, it sends her into a spiral, thinking that he must find her ugly, unlike how he treated Ren and the others. As a desperate last move, she offers her twin sweeties to him, but he turns her down again. She asks if he's into rice cakes instead, and he admits he likes both, but she's making it way too easy, which just ruins his vibe. When he finally asks for her stamp on the permit to leave the school, she shoves it into her melons, forcing him to reach for it. But even then, he pulls away at the last second, saying no. That's when she finally realizes that not every guy is a creep. Just then, Fudou hears a voice that sends chills down his spine. It's Ren. Seeing Mary's melons being out, Ren doesn't wait for an explanation and starts swinging her sword. Mary has to step in and explain what happened, but she leaves out the part where she got rejected. Then Mary agrees to stamp the permit and declares she'll be supervising Fudou with Ren.